Apartment 13B. In New York City, in one of the many old apartment buildings, there was a unit, 13B, that always seemed vacant. Residents whispered that anyone who moved in disappeared without a trace. But those were just rumors, right? A young couple, Lisa and Tom, decided not to believe the tales and rented the apartment. It was cheap, and their budget was tight. The move-in went smoothly, and the apartment felt cozy, though a bit outdated. On their first evening, as they unpacked boxes, they heard a knock at the door. When Lisa opened it, she saw an elderly neighbor with piercing eyes. The woman sternly warned, "Don't go into the hallway after midnight, and don't stare into mirrors longer than you need to." Tom laughed it off, but Lisa felt uneasy. They locked the door and decided to ignore the strange warning. That night, around 12:30 a.m., Lisa woke up to the sound of footsteps in the hallway. She approached the door and looked through the peephole, seeing a dark figure standing motionless. Suddenly, the figure began moving toward their door. Frightened, Lisa backed away and woke Tom. But when he looked through the peephole, the hallway was empty. The next day, they decided to explore the building. In the basement, they found old newspapers detailing mysterious disappearances of people who had lived in 13B. One article featured a photo of a man who looked exactly like Tom. Lisa stared at him in fear, but he shrugged it off as a coincidence. That evening, as they sat in the living room, the mirror above the fireplace suddenly cracked. In the reflection, they saw themselves, but their faces were distorted, as if they were screaming in pain. Tom decided to take the mirror down, but behind it was a hole in the wall. From the darkness, they heard a whisper, "You're next." Panic set in. They decided to leave the apartment, but the door wouldn't open. Their phones stopped working, and the windows, which once showed the street, now revealed only endless darkness. At midnight, the apartment began to change. The walls seemed to crawl, as if alive, and a dark liquid dripped from the ceiling. Lisa saw faces in the mirror, faces of everyone who had lived there before them. They screamed and pleaded for help. Tom tried to break down the door, but something grabbed him and pulled him into the shadows. Left alone, Lisa saw her reflection in the mirror, smiling back at her, though she was frozen in terror. The mirror shattered again, and the room plunged into darkness. When the police arrived the next day, apartment 13B didn't exist. In its place was just a blank wall. There was no trace of Lisa or Tom, but neighbors swore they could hear whispers coming from behind the wall. "You're next,"